The National Pension Commission, called PenCom, has approved a total of 7.89 billion naira to 649 contributory pension scheme contributors seeking residential mortgages in the country. This was revealed by the Pension Fund Operators Association of Nigeria at a media parley on the issue. Now, data from the association also showed that the total fund under the CPS stood at 17.64 trillion as of October 2023, while contributions made by workers from both public and private sectors stood at over 9 trillion naira. This morning, Tunji Andrew, CEO Awaba, joins me on the show to discuss this further. Tunji, it's nice to have you around.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, with the approval of a total of 7.89 billion naira in mortgage loans for about 649 eager contributors to the CPS, what does this mean for the potential pensioners?
I think it's promise of greater utility of pension savings. One of the things that a lot of Nigerians have had on their minds in the past is that, we had this stockpile of money that was not useful to you until you retired or you lost your job for 6 months or more. I think this is the first step of a long line of things that the pension regulator has been, mulling over on how to make Nigerians more connected to their pensions, not only today, but tomorrow as well. So this is great promise, the way I see it.
Looking at how promising it is, the news comes amidst a backdrop of somewhat impressive growth for the CPS. Even the PenOp data revealed that the total funds under the scheme soared to a staggering 17.64 trillion naira. That's as of October 2023. So if we were to look at the previous figure and now, what would you say were the factors responsible for the increase this year?
Too many factors. One is the trust in the system. The regulator has done fantastic in terms of providing an atmosphere of confidence in the Nigerian pension system. The pension fund administrators have done a fantastic job in keeping customers engaged, and also employers have been doing well to be able to remit. We've also seen federal and state governments also, contributing their own bit to ensuring that that system is very robust and it continues to grow. I think one of the things that, Nigerians continue to do is sleep on the fact that the pension system is growing rapidly and will be possibly one of the biggest financial instruments in the country in a very short bit. If it is not already, because it continues to grow on a regular basis. Confidence continues to grow, people continue to see interest in it and continue to understand how it works for them. And also you see, like from the previous conversation about where people can use it as part of equity contribution towards their mortgage, it is becoming more of a utility. And I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see a more robust pension system, even bigger and better than what it is today.
So talking about how robust this pension system can be for next year, we noticed that workers' contributions accounted for 54%, and in comparison, the returns on investment accounted for about 46% of the entire pension fund assets. So kindly talk us through the investments, of course, and how lucrative it was for the scheme.
So one of the things that people need to always understand about pension savings is that it is built to be long-term. So a lot of the times it doesn't experience, or at least is not hugely affected by the short-term volatility that we continue to see in the market from time to time, especially as we see right now. And it is built by investing in assets that have a long gestation period, but a steady growth. So this is a situation whereby the pension fund administrators have picked the right kind of instrument to be able to guard against things like inflation and short-term volatility. I also know that the pension system is looking at the fact that they can be able to guard the pension system against volatility in the exchange rate market. Those are effects of devaluation that we continue to see. And I think that it would be great when those plans are put forth to the rest of the country. But I do know that the pension system continues to show great promise, great investment in, treasuries, government bonds, and I think they're looking at infrastructure right now. They continue to engage with investment options that can provide safety for pension savings and pensioners. I know that one thing I've always heard, is that, the regulator is keen to make sure that when you do retire, you find your money waiting for you. It is best to have it waiting for you than, chasing after, waterfalls and not getting, the kind of returns that you want. But I do know that this thing continues to grow, and we will continue to see resilience in the sector as time comes.
So at this time, we'll do a bit of comparison with what obtains now and what used to be before now. While 649 approved loans mark a positive shift, it's always very crucial and understandable if you try to look at it from a wider context. Now, how does these approvals compare to previous periods, the payments and the schemes and the operations, when you look at the overall demand for mortgage loans under the CPS?
I think it is demand that was waiting to burst open. So think about it. Most Nigerians, one of the key things about Nigerian financial understanding is mortgage as a factor of stability. First stability, then it goes to things like people want to use it for rentals and, commercial property. But first, for stability, people want to move from rent to owning their own houses. But the equity contribution to put forward towards a mortgage is usually very out of reach for a lot of Nigerians. Putting aside 30, 40 million, whatever it might be, to be able to go towards a mortgage is difficult. But then people have a lot of this money stashed away in their pension assets, sitting there, growing, but not being able to affect them today. Accessing that to be able to meet a critical need for a lot of Nigerians it was super great. I think this was genius from the regulator. But what it is that we have not even seen anything compared to the demand for people wanting to use it for equity contribution, because a lot of people are thinking, is this thing really working? But news like this will show that, it's really, really working and more people can go and access it. So I know that as the news continues to spread, that people are getting access to it. People are getting, houses, mortgages from this system. A lot more people will now start, approaching their pension fund administrators and saying, how can I get in on this, juicy thing that is happening? So I think we've not even seen the tip of the iceberg as concerns this. What we're just doing is hearing rumors of it coming. Once we start seeing the tip of the iceberg, you will start seeing a lot more people, jumping on this system.
And that would actually beg me to ask this question, still looking at comparison. For those on the gratuity and, of course, pension scheme, the previous one, actually, can they migrate to this new scheme? Is there a window for them to do that? And how do you think they will be able to do that? And, of course, contribution, how they'll be able to contribute towards the scheme if they're accorded that privilege?
I think there is a system for them to be able to migrate. It would require the administrator of the pension scheme to be able to speak with the pension regulator about migration. I do know that some entities have migrated into the contributory pension system, and some have opted to migrate out. So it's really about the conversation of meeting with the regulator, coming together as, the pensioners under that pension scheme to demand that, your administrator move you to this, working system that you're able to do a lot more. Now, I must say this, we've had rumors that, the equity contribution towards a mortgage is just the beginning of what is possible. I mean, people can see what happens in, more robust economies where people use, their pensions to put into their business, borrow from their pensions to do multiple things, pay for their children's education. I think that is possible in Nigeria. And I only know that, the regulator will already have been looking at things like that. So the earlier people come into the system, the better, but it starts with the administrator of that pension system speaking to the regulator and finding out how it is possible to switch.
Mm. Now, according to reports, as of the end of the third quarter of 2023, the PFAs had recovered about 24.8 billion naira from defaulting employers. I'd like to find out, how did they go about the financial recovery process, knowing, of course, how difficult it was for the economy and for finances this year?
The good thing about contributions towards pensions is that, especially when it comes to the mandatory side of the pension system, is that it is legal requirement. And as businesses continue to grow, irrespective of whatever is happening in the economy, employers will be remitting their pensions to the pension system. So I don't think it was much of, the pension fund administrators, cajoling employers, but it was a mixture of different things. We have also seen reports where PenCom, spoke about retrieving remittances from employers who have not been contributing. There's also conversations about, state governments who now, put in some money into the system to make sure that their people had access to the contributory pension scheme. So it's a mixture of a lot of things. It is government, remitting. It is PenCom retrieving non-remitted pensions into the scheme, and at the same time, law-abiding employers who have been contributing on a regular basis. So it's a mixture of things, but all have come together to make sure that the pension system has continued to be robust.
Okay, so on a final note, I'd like to just quickly, in about a minute, get your clarification. Now, the mortgage loans offered to Nigerian CPS contributors through PenCom come with interest payments. So this means borrowers have to repay the principal amount over a set period plus accrued interest. So as of November 2023, we read that the maximum rate was 14%. So I'd like to seek your clarification on the interest rates, how affordable it is for the contributors, and probably the ease of paying back, how to be easy for them to pay back. Just in about a minute.
Let me clarify this, and this is so the interest rate that is paid on the mortgage has very little to do with the pension system. So what is happening is that the pension system is coming together with the mortgage system to create this joint body arrangement. So you only take part of your equity, your pension savings as equity contribution towards the mortgage. The interest rate is set by the mortgage entities, and they're different ones. So you can, check through and see the particular interest rate that is applicable to the one that you have spoken to. I know that on the Pension Commission's website, there are multiple mortgage providers that have been approved. So you need to speak to individually and see what the interest rate is. It's not one size fits all, and it doesn't come from the pension regulator. It comes from the mortgage institutions themselves.
Tunji Andrew, CEO Awaba, thank you so much for talking to us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
The PenCom's recent decision to approve 7.89 billion naira in mortgage loans unlocks a brighter future for many Nigerian CPS contributors, and it is widely seen as planting a seed of home ownership, offering not just physical shelter, but also a sense of financial security and empowerment that benefits individuals and families across the nation. We hope that they'll be able to sustain on that particular scheme, of course, the initiative. Thank you so much for being part of today's edition of Business Edge. Don't forget that you can visit our social media handles at News Central TV. Also head on to our website at www.newscentral.africa, and you can also download our mobile app on App Store and Play Store. I am Lekan Onabanjo. Thank you so much for your time. See you some other time, and do stay with us. The news will come your way at the top of the hour. Enjoy your day.